Hey everyone, what's going on? It's been a minute. I apologize for that, but I wanted to talk about this whole, you've probably heard about the whole Bud Light boycott and everything, and Dylan Mulvaney, and then the ad that went viral and went around and stuff. And I want to talk about, Dylan Mulvaney and how I feel about what, I guess could be accurately said the right is doing with this whole Bud Light thing. Now, I watched a video on this by a YouTuber called Short Fat Otaku. I'll link it below when I got the time. But if you haven't, which you probably haven't, but I would recommend that you check this one out. Short Fat Otaku is a centrist. Like, he talks about politics, but he's a centrist YouTuber. I enjoy his content. I think it's very, very good content. Always a very balanced take, usually, in my opinion. He's being taken to task a little bit for his video because some of his subscribers think that he has the wrong take on this, but I actually agree 100% with his take. Since he criticizes, the left on a fairly frequent basis, leftists obviously want nothing to do with his channel and stuff, and because he makes fun of, woke stuff and SJWs and all that crap. So his audience obviously isn't going to be comprised of leftists, so his audience is comprised, mostly of like centrists like himself or people who are right-leaning or right-wing altogether. So because he's giving this take, of course, it's probably going to get him, taken to task a little bit and bring out the more tribal members of his audience. But I think that he has a fantastic take on this. So like I said, I'll link the video below and you guys can watch it for yourself. I'd highly recommend that you do watch it. But I guess I'll start with Dylan Mulvaney, and I prepared myself a little something, a little drink. Cherry Vanilla Captain Morgan Spice Rum. It has nothing to do with this video, but if you haven't tried that, I'd highly recommend it. Delicious. Since we're talking about an alcoholic company, a company that sells alcoholic beverages. And because this is, I didn't buy this myself, it was a Christmas present, but I got this like Harry Potter tumbler thing. Is that what you call a tumbler? Or tumbler? Whatever the fuck you call it. So I mixed it with the strawberries and cream Dr. Pepper. So that's fucking good. But anyways. So Dylan Mulvaney. Now, a lot of you probably know about Dylan Mulvaney. He blew up like a year ago, or like a little more than a year ago, whenever it was. I haven't really paid that much attention to him, but as far as I can tell, he's been documenting his path, or whatever he calls it, his path to womanhood, or whatever, documenting his transition on TikTok. And by the way, anyone who wants to take me to task about not using Dylan's pronouns or whatever, I don't know him personally. I will never know him personally. And at this point, he's gotten popular enough to where he's getting sponsorships from a fucking company like Bud Light, so I doubt that he's going to really be that upset that some nobody on the internet like myself is misgendering him. So, whatever. Anyone who stumbles across this video is going to pounce on me for misgendering him. I don't give a fuck. They're not my pronouns to respect as far as I'm concerned. But, anyways, this Dylan Mulvaney character just kind of blew up over the past year, and now he's getting, sponsorships from Bud Light and beer companies. I mean, and more power to him. It's fine, whatever. I don't really care about that part. Personally, I think that there's some fishiness around this Dylan Mulvaney character. I think it's kind of weird how he just kind of came out of nowhere and just blew up. I suspect there's some under the table backstage stuff going on. I feel like there's some double agent stuff going on here. I feel like that there might be some backing, if you know what I mean, some artificial attempt to make this person popular, because as far as I can tell, whenever this Dylan Mulvaney person is brought up, he's met with nothing but like criticism and negativity and stuff. So he doesn't strike me as being particularly popular. I mean, maybe on TikTok, because that's where all the crazies are, but outside of that, I mean, if you look at a YouTube video that he's featured, that just of him, the dislikes, or at least you can't see the dislikes anymore, but the comments and stuff, man, it's nothing but negativity and criticism. So, his popularity strikes me as a little bit suspicious, and he's been blown up over the last year. And you could say that's the fault of people responding to him, giving him all the attention. But I mean, I still think it's a little weird. I think that Dylan is a grifter. I don't think that he is genuine. The whole girlhood, I think that's what he calls it or whatever. I think that it's either disingenuous and he's doing it for, again, the money, the clout, because it's popular to, being trans, being LGBT is so mainstream nowadays. It's just become the popular thing to do. And I think that Dylan has fully taken hold of that and ran with it. And I think that's what this whole thing has been. That's what I suspect. So I think that Dylan is a grifter. I think that he's, I think that he's doing this whole trans thing for attention. I don't think that he's authentically transgender, or if he is authentically transgender, he certainly is using it to his advantage and whatnot. So that's what I think about Dylan. I think that he's also really annoying. He's got that very, very super sweet, sugary, bubbly, personality. Just watching him would probably give you type 2 diabetes. Very obnoxious. I said it on Facebook, but I don't know how anyone can actually watch Dylan Mulvaney without needing to take a fucking triple dose of fucking ibuprofen afterwards. I mean, listening to him for 5 seconds alone is fucking grating as all hell. So I just think Dylan's annoying. Trans or not trans, dude's just fucking annoying. I don't like him. I don't know how anyone can enjoy his stuff. It's just so mind-numbingly annoying. And I think that most people can agree on that, regardless of what your opinions are. That's my thoughts on Dylan Mulvaney himself. As far as this whole boycotting Bud Light thing, so Dylan Mulvaney appeared in a commercial, in a Bud Light commercial sponsorship. And, the right, broadly speaking, the right reacted to it and are calling for a boycott. I know Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire made a video about it, and several other people who are either right-leaning or right-wing have made videos on it supporting the boycott. And even some YouTubers that I watch and enjoy because of all this. Now, I watched the ad itself, and personally, I didn't think the ad was really all that offensive at all. It was just Dylan promoting the beer and talking about March Madness and stuff. Outside of the fact that Dylan is annoying and that they decided to feature him, I don't know why they would. That's kind of, you're featuring a really annoying person from TikTok, so that's really just a bad business strategy in my opinion, especially for the base of people who buy Bud Light. So that's just kind of a stupid business decision, in my opinion. But to me, the commercial, again, it wasn't really, he didn't really say anything that bad or that politically motivated or offensive to me, at least. I mean, he talked about how he was on day 365 of girlhood, which it's cringy as hell, but that's really the only thing that he really said. Other than that, it was pretty inoffensive in my opinion. I don't really understand a lot of the outrage, but I've come to expect commercials with companies like Bud Light. I know there was the Hershey's thing a month ago or a few months ago, and I mean, this has been going on for the better half of the last decade. I come to expect it, and when it happens, I just shrug my shoulders, because that's how it's been again for the last few years now, for years now, really. That's just how things are going in the entertainment industry and whatever you want to call it. I mean, I know Bud Light's not really the entertainment industry, but whether it's Bud Light or Hershey's or Oreo or whatever, they're more and more, they're either, making ads with politically, ham-fisted messages that are about as subtle as a brick to the head, or they feature really, popular figures among, leftists and, the woke, I guess you could say. I mean, it's just to be expected to me at this point, and it keeps backfiring on them, but they don't learn, and I don't think they ever will learn at this point. And to me, this whole Bud Light thing is really no different. Now, people keep comparing it to the Harry Potter game that came out on Steam or something, I think it was, or something. I'm not really too sure. But you know what I'm talking about, the Harry Potter game that came out recently. And leftists and woke skulls were just fucking outraged, and they just wanted to stop the game from happening, and they just were so mad about it. And it was retarded. You know, it's like there were actual trans people that were saying, yeah, I want to play this game because I like Harry Potter. So what? And they got criticized for it. And those trans people were called not really trans because they were supporting the game and wanted to play it. You know, so that was retarded. And to me, this reaction to this Bud Light thing is kind of the same thing. And that's what Short Fat Otaku's video was all about, was calling out the hypocrisy that's going on right now. Because, like, see, the right is supposed to be all about they're anti-cancel culture, right? They're anti-canceling stuff, they're anti-getting offended and all this shit. But, you know, this whole Bud Light thing is kind of bringing out, again, some real hypocrisy. I mean, the right are acting like the exact, you know, triggered snowflakes that they are criticizing leftists of always being. And they're not wrong when they do, but then they turn around and act the same way. You know, and someone like myself who was, like, in the center right, you know, I am a slightly right-leaning person, I guess you could say at this point, so it's me criticizing the right here. You know, I think that if you want to boycott Bud Light, the best thing to do would be to just not buy the product and just don't give them attention. You don't like this commercial that they did? Well, just don't pay attention to it. Don't give Bud Light your time and attention. Don't give them your money. You really want to boycott them, then just do that. Stop. Whenever something like this happens, whenever it's with Bud Light or Hershey's, or whatever other company, like, you know, we've all heavily critiqued these commercials that have been coming out, right? Like, we've all seen them, we've all thought that they were bullshit, and you know, these companies have obviously seen the negative feedback, but they still haven't changed, and they're not going to. So you know what the best thing to do is? Stop buying their products. Hit them in the wallet. Stop giving them attention. Stop making videos on them. If you don't give them attention and you don't give them their money, they will suffer, and they will learn their lesson. The same thing with movies. You know, the movies nowadays, whether it's the remakes or the newer movies, they're starting to incorporate more of their own personal politics, and it's not subtle at all. It's very, very ham-fisted. And there's always criticism about this. And like I said, like, if you have a problem with modern Hollywood and the modern entertainment industry, stop going to see these movies, stop giving them your money, and stop giving them attention. If you really have an issue with it, if you really want to do something about it, then just do that. Just ignore it. Just ignore them. Don't give them your time. And that's what people who are, you know, frustrated at Bud Light should be doing. Now, personally, for me, I don't drink beer. I think beer is nasty. You know, I think that Bud Light, like any other beer, is piss water, personally. That's what I think. So I don't really have much investment as far as that goes. But yeah, I mean, as far as the commercial itself and Dylan Mulvaney, I mean, I think it's cringy. And like I said, I think it's a bad business decision. You know, now if they had gotten a trans person like Buck Angel, for instance, who was fairly anti-woke himself, you know, and you put him, because he looks like, if you look at him, he's got the beard, he's got everything. He looks like the stereotypical dude who would drink a beer and stuff. And if you wanted to have a trans person on an ad or commercial or for a sponsorship, should have gotten someone like him. You know, I don't really care in and of itself that you know, Bud Light, if Bud Light just had a trans person on their ad who wasn't over the top and obnoxious about it and was literally just promoting the beer, I wouldn't really give a fuck. Like, who cares? All right. You know, and there are even some people like fucking Tim Pool, and I like Tim Pool. I like Tim Pool, generally speaking. But, like, he's on Twitter saying that, you know, because I know Bud Light issued something, and even, like, Donald Trump's son, Don Jr., said that the boycotting just needs to end because it's pointless at this point, because it is. But I think it was on Twitter. I think it was Bud Light or something released some sort of, like, you know, half-assed apology or or whatever. Well, I don't really care if it's half-assed or not, but like some response to the negative feedback. And Tim Pool is retweeting it and saying, "This is not good enough. They need to apologize. Apologize for what? They chose to have a trans person. They chose to feature a trans person in an ad that they were doing. They have every right to do so. What do they need to apologize for? They don't need to apologize for anything. You know, people have every right to give criticism and feedback, and it can be as negative as it wants. If people don't like the commercial, it is well within their right to not like the commercial and give their feedback to Bud Light. That is well within their right. But it's also well within Bud Light's right to feature whoever the fuck they want, even if it is someone as annoying as Dylan Mulvaney. And again, I think it was a really shitty business decision to feature someone like Dylan Mulvaney in one of their ads, given, again, their consumer base. I think that's the dumbest thing here, that Bud Light did. They need to be apologizing to themselves, to their shareholders or whoever the fuck, for making such a bad business decision. That's what they should really be apologizing for, and apologizing too. But I mean, they don't. Yeah, whatever. Like, again, if you really don't like it, if you're really that upset by it, then just ignore them and don't give them your money. That's the best way to go. I think the whole boycott thing is kind of stupid. I think it's a waste of time. Do you really think they're going to change and really care that much about your moral outrage? I don't think so. So again, just ignore them. Just don't give them your money. I know I've said that over and over again, but just seriously, just hit them in the wallet. It's the most effective way you can send a statement to Bud Light is to hit them right in the profits, right in the wallet. That's really all you can do. And I mean, you can, and look, I'm not saying you can't boycott. It's well within your right to boycott. I'm simply just giving my opinion. Not saying you shouldn't be allowed to, but I'm just saying I think it's a waste of time, and I think there's better ways that you can make a statement other than, acting again like the very triggered snowflakes that you always criticize leftists of being. And again, rightfully so, but, behave how you tell others to behave. Practice what you preach. Practice the type of behavior that you preach. So, anyways, I think I've really said all there is to say, but, I mean, like, again, it's the hypocrisy, and again, it's just like, look, as far, like I've said, like, I think the commercial was cringy. I think Dylan Mulvaney is really annoying and cringy, and I don't like him. I think that he's a grifter, and I think that he's inauthentic. I think his whole personality is just mind-numbingly just annoying. Doesn't even sum it up. I don't like Dylan Mulvaney. I'm not trying to defend him or anything or support him. But again, like Bud Light had. I've said what I need to say. I don't need to repeat all of it, but you get where I'm coming from here. So that's all I had to say. Let me know what you guys think. I'm sure that if, some people stumble across this, they'll certainly, give their thoughts and probably think that I'm being a cuck on this issue or something or whatever. But anyways, peace, and you guys have a good day.